Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. A topic for the discussion is conducting effective learning sessions for students, and to express her viewpoints on the same, we have with us Miss Arti Jha ma'am, Principal of Delhi Public School, Aligarh. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Feeling good to be here, and hopefully, I have few answers for your questions.
Absolutely, ma'am. A very good afternoon to you too. So let's start off with the session now, ma'am. Shall we?
Yes, yes.
So, ma'am, when we talk about an effective learning classroom, so what according to you constitutes an effective learning session for students?
Effective learning for me is when like you have the one line you can say that when you meet your learning outcome of the day. Before going to class, we all have our learning outcome design, that what we are expected to give to our students, what are they supposed to take away from today's class. So if we are meeting all those parameters, and at the end we can reflect that yes, I have learned what I wanted to, then it is an effective. Like when you need to have a plan. When you come out of your house, you have a plan. Where are you going? Are you going to watch movie? Are you going to your college? Are you going to an expedition? So you have your plan, and at the end you just reflect that have I reached there, and that's an effective classroom. And when you take all those measures to meet your learning outcomes, have you planned your activities? Have you planned your learning outcome and activities together so that you're meeting there? How are you guiding your students to reach there? So what plans do you have in your mind? So this is what an effective classroom is like.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for a very brief explain. So moving forward, how does this effective session affects the learning?
Effective session, like if you do not know what ingredients are you serving to them. So if you do not know the taste of the people whom you are catering your recipe, let's say, then it's not possible. You cannot pick up random things and you're going to cook anything. We all cook, so that can relate to all of us. So we all need food, and when we are really starving, we can eat anything.
Yeah.
And then we need the recipe, like you have eaten. So you need to know, first thing is what you are serving them. Then do you have ingredients to prepare those servings to the people? So this is very important to understand what I am going to teach them. So what is my plan? And when we plan, we assume that these basics would be into the knowledge of my learners, and what the higher level of that learning I'm going to give to them.
Yeah.
And the road between this, what you have already known and where you want to go. How have you planned that road travel? That's very important. So you should know the basic assumption, then your planning to reach to there. And for that planning, you need activities which connects every learner of the class to that learning process. So if you're not involving them in your learning process, you do not know. It's like, serving them dish and do not sharing what they're eating.
Yeah.
So what would they eat? And for eating, you have to tell them what exactly how you are eating, what you are eating. So that we need to clarify. Plus, a quick reflection whether they have received the same taste which I wanted them to taste,
Yeah.
or they have looked for something else. So reflection is again very important to discuss about what needs to be. So if we are following all these small steps in our classrooms that connects us, and everybody is participating in this whole learning process, and you get a quick feedback that what has happened. And if you get a majority of your class responding to you through your questions or through your quiz or through your reflection session, simply it's a thumbs up to go ahead. And if majority have still a doubt and there are certain, a confusion, then we can quickly, recapitulate all our learning process and we can redesign. So for me, this is the whole process.
Absolutely, ma'am. One should, always take a feedback. I guess this is what you were trying to say. We should always take the feedback from the students that what they have learned actually. So
yes, feedback is very important. Reflection is very important. We generally think that, okay, what is, like, I have taught everything, I have explained everything, so I have experience of 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, so I have been taking these recapitulation in my life, so what is the point? But we need to reflect on our process also as a teacher. And this is a one tool we need to practice, keep it in the practice for very regular routine. And same is with the students also think, when you are telling them that, okay, I'm going to teach you drama and this is all about, they know that, okay, they're listening to you. But when you ask them the question, there's always a complete silence in the class, because we need to develop them to form their opinion, start thinking, giving their input. So reflection is very important part of teaching learning process.
Absolutely, ma'am. So moving forward, ma'am, why is, this planning, the whole thing we were talking about, is considered the most important step of an effective session? Why is it important in general?
It's very basic skill of the life. Today, when we are meeting, face to face, and a lot of people must have, you must have sent notes to people, you must have set a reminder for that, you must have prepared your questions for this conversation, you must have chosen the person who should be approached for these kind of questions. So these are all planning of yours. So without planning, we cannot move, we cannot live even a single day. So even when you go out, the first thing when you wake up, you always have a recap of your day. Okay, today I'm going to meet this, today I'm going to out, my bus is there at this moment in time, I need to catch my bus, go to the office, I have these long pending work of my day. So if you do not have plan, and you can go nowhere. You're in physics it is called that the displacement is zero. You're still, traveling, covering the distance, but your displacement is zero. You cannot reach anywhere. Same goes with the teaching. If you do not plan, if you know the story, because I'm an English teacher, I know my story, I go and explain everything beautifully. I have narrated the whole story. And suddenly when I come back and I was making my question paper, I have referred to the blueprint of CBSE and finally saw there are a lot of questions based on literary devices. There are a lot of questions based on connotation. There were a lot of questions based on character sketch, which I have never explained to them. Although I have talked about the character, but I did not have this idea that they have to talk about the character in such details. And had I known, I would have talked about those characters with little detail so that they get certain, aspects of the character. I would have asked students also to find out what do they find with these characters, what are those traits they are finding in these characters when I'm explaining them. So planning is the backbone of any teaching learning process. You need to plan. Then your plan should be, okay, how I'm going to assess where my learning has reached to every child or not. What is my plan to check whether my learning outcome has been met or not? So my learning outcome is that a student should be able to narrate this drama or identify the characters of the drama. But there is no activity which is allowing them to understand these concepts, it won't work. So very important is planning is the backbone. So whatever you do, you have to plan, and that only. And important thing is when you're planning, you also have to see this class size, the learner's mood, the timing, and their background, everything. So if you sit and then plan, thinking about your class, because we are talking about education, so I'll take more reference of classes. So think about your class, where do they come from, like if I do not plan and there is something which can offend, because books are not changed with stereotypes of gender discrimination. There are a lot of example of class, creed and religion which could offend anyone. So there also we need to plan. How am I going to include those who are less interested in English, those who are highly interested in English, and those who are average interested in listening? How am I going? What activities do I have to involve all three groups together? So I have to plan. Then how can I bring, how can I bring those synonyms related to the dramas? What are the different kind of dramas I can bring in? So that I need to plan. And how can I assess whether my learning has reached to everyone? Again, you need to plan. And then again, you have to plan a recapitulation. So planning is very important to have an effective classroom. Otherwise, we'll just go, speak, and come back without giving anything, without gaining anything. So that's how we need to plan.
Absolutely, ma'am. Planning is, really important. So, lastly, ma'am, how important, is an effective learning or effective session? How important is it as a skill for, the educators out there?
So a skill, I mean, like for not only for educators, actually, whatever you do, and if you are not involved in a 360-degree position, if you do not know your audience, if you do not know your target group, if you do not know your ultimate goal, then how will it work? Whether like teaching, planning for teacher is absolutely a big skill required, because that shows you, like how do you reach to your target audience. So similarly, we are teaching students also to plan. We keep telling them, you have to plan how to write, what kind of answers are to be addressed in which manner. That is also planning. How do you plan for your assessments? How do you plan for your progress from, one place to another place? So as a teacher, if we do not practice it, how are we going to imbibe this skill amongst the students? As a teacher, if I do not plan myself, I'll never be able to give anything to the students. So that goes completely hayward. And so this is the most important skill in effective classroom or in any field, any field. And this is one skill that I think we need to inculcate amongst the students also in the school during the school days. And like if they do not plan if they do not their timetable, how will they come with the books and notebooks required for the day? So obviously planning it is an important skill, and everyone needs to go by it to make it a teaching learning process working.
Thank you so much, Arti ma'am. That was, a really wonderful session with you. I hope, you did enjoyed it, and the audience did too. Thank you so much again for taking out your precious time.
Thank you so much. And, for teachers, it is always a pleasure discussing anything related to the classroom.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And for all the viewers watching us out, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank
you. And log in now. Should I leave?